Hello, everybody. Can you hear us? Please let me know if you can hear me right now. Just put a 1 in the chat. Okay, I think people are hearing us. Let's see.
I know. I better make sure about that.
I know. Okay, as soon as I get some major confirmation that they can hear us. Okay, good. Everybody says they can hear us. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. This is, you probably already know her, but just in case you don't, this is Psychic Reverend Donna Seraphina. She is a profound, not only human being, but she's an incredible medium, and she really has helped in these different murder cases, especially these really complex ones that we couldn't quite understand what the heck was going on. She was able to tap into them when nobody else was handing out, any sort of information or answers. So I just want to warmly introduce Miss Donna right here. Thanks so much for being with me today, Donna. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Lauren.
Yeah, it's been really, really neat to get to know you over this last year. And I remember when you and I really kind of first started talking or, connecting was when the whole thing with Andy Mormon, Suzanne Morphew's brother, when I tried to connect the reading situation so that you could do a reading with him so he could better understand what was going on with Suzanne.
When you
and
did
you helped him.
You did connect. You did.
Yes, you did.
What happened was Lauren feels very strongly about my abilities. And so she, on her own, she contacted Andy Mormon, who's the brother of Suzanne Morphew, and asked if he would work with me and do some readings. And he was willing to do anything it took to try to find his sister. And so that is thanks to Lauren how that got set up.
Thank you. Yeah. And he was very receptive, I feel, to what you had to say. I think he knew that you were the real deal automatically. And of course, if he compared notes today from what came out, I think already in the preliminary hearing, he'd be very confident in knowing that you saw it. There's not a doubt in my mind.
Yeah, no doubt in my mind either. And that's like one of the benefits of doing multiple readings is it becomes more clear every single time. So with Tylee or with, the more readings you do, the more you see what you see, but they'll show you more and more details all the time. So we did quite a few.
Really
a few.
You did? How many would you say you did in total, Donna?
I don't know because
a lot.
The Salida resident, she called me a lot. And so sometimes we just break out into a reading, and there's a lot of readings that have to be uploaded. Like I wish I had the time. I did subscribe to this Otter now. And so I'm going to start putting those readings in there so I can scan them to see if there's anything useful where they could possibly find some remains. Because I mean, as we all saw with that prelim, where I've never seen a prelim where the judge did not hold it over that same day. So that's a little
concerning. Yeah. That was so weird. What do you think, on a side note, what do you think the reason for that was? Just too graphic or too much info, or what do you think?
Well, we had done, the Salida resident and I had done a reading actually several days before that. And it was really weird because they were flashing Mason, the courthouse, Mason, the courthouse, Mason, the courthouse. And I even said to her, and it's recorded several days, it wouldn't, prove anything to anybody now to upload it. But I even said to her, this judge is not going to give it to them. They're going to have to wait for it. And so it's anybody's guess what he's going to come back with. I've never seen a judge say they couldn't make up their mind.
I know. And so it will, I think on September 17th, is it at 1 o'clock? I think they're going to have that next courtroom hearing. Is that, I think that's right. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's 1 o'clock on September 17th. Is that what you remember too, Donna?
Well, wasn't the judge supposed to release the affidavit before that?
Allegedly. I hope he does.
And that's another problem. Have you ever seen an affidavit being held, even under Colorado law? I think it's supposed to be released by now.
I know. Why? I don't understand that. It seems like special kind of like special favors or something for Barry, because anybody else, they would have just put it out there.
Yeah.
But not for him.
There's an old boys club going on in Salida. There is.
I agree.
And, Barry came in there, volunteer firefighter, man's man, boy's boy, and whatever other groups he's in. He's having some special treatment, it appears.
Oh,
but then
absolutely.
Again, what they put on at the preliminary, I was disappointed. I was disappointed as well. Like, I was really hoping at the end they would have her spy pin in the bedroom there to just catch the whole final moments and just put them, behind bars for life. But they didn't. They kind of finished. I know. So it might not be the judge's fault, and I'm not trying to insinuate anything wrong about the judge.
Absolutely. No, I understand. Well, Donna, how about this? If you don't mind, I would like to play a clip. To me, it's a very important clip. Just for those who do not, let's say they just got turned on to you from the Summer Wells case, and maybe they don't know that much, but they just know that I've been saying, and everybody else has been saying, oh, Donna, Reverend Donna, she's amazing, right? I would like them to hear it for themselves. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. And by the way, guys, please bear with me. I am so new at this system. I'm trying to learn it. Sorry if there's any hiccups, but I'll do my best. And on a side note, thank you so much for these, very generous, I can't think of the words, super chats. Sorry, the super chats. And there is a mod I elected to put out Donna's information, so you can please go donate to Donna instead of me, please. I would really like you to donate to Donna just to keep her work going. I really appreciate what you've already done. Thank you so much.
I know how neat. Sweet. I just found the button to see the comments. So
I know.
We're new to this. This is the first time I've been live. So
yeah, I'm so green at this. I feel like such a
little $20 audio recorder for the last 2 years.
Yes, I know. I've been low budget all the way myself. It's ridiculous, but okay. So I'm going to go ahead and try to navigate through here and play this video for everybody everybody needs to hear this. This is just incredible in my opinion. So hold on one second. I'm going to try to screen share. Okay, let's see. This one. Okay, it's this one. Okay, Donna, can you see this screen?
Where and how did Barry discard Susan's remains Mother's Day weekend?
Yes, this is the video. Okay, so I've got it paused at the perfect part that starts to go over your reading of JJ and Tylee, the main parts. Okay. So I would like everybody to hear that. So I'm going to turn up my volume a bit so everybody can hear. Hopefully it doesn't blast anybody's eardrums. Okay, just a sec. There we go. Okay, here we go.
Okay, what I'm seeing is a man and a woman, and they're carrying one person. They're carrying one person. Wrapped in a black, it's black plastic, and it has ropes tied, like there's a rope tied around the neck, rope tied around the, where the arms would be, like they tied a rope about every 1.5 feet, rope around the ankles, rope around but they're tying it, seems like I don't know, that's just their burial way, what they're doing. And, and then it feels like the man is digging pretty hard there, and then covering that it feels like it's the boy that was buried there.
The first thing I observed was the black bag that was covered in duct tape that had been removed from the area underneath the tree by the pond, was placed on the table.
And you recognize that as the same black bag?
Yes.
How did you recognize that?
The duct tape and the black plastic that still had dirt all over it.
I see that he was in his pajamas. He had flannel pajamas, and he he was whining about something. He must supposed to be in bed, or maybe he was playing in his pajamas. I shouldn't assume he's supposed to be in bed. But Lori has him there. She's planning on doing this. So it's not like she just gets mad and does this. It's just that she wasn't planning on doing it right that second. So what she does is she's got another one of these bags. It's more like a hefty bag. So she walks up like she's being real nice, and she's like, "Oh, it's okay, it's okay." And all of a sudden she just poof, whips that bag over his head so fast. He's trying to get this duct tape, but now JJ's struggling. So nothing is ever as easy as she thinks in her imagination. Yeah, he's fighting against her. He's pushing against her. He's pushing her with his hands. He's kicking with his legs. He's trying to resist. And so she's trying to push it down. So she knows, she realizes now, oh yeah. So she's trying to like duct tape to get with her teeth to get it. She can't get it. Some man runs across the room, and that's what I don't figure. Why he might show me, because it felt more like Chad.
I observed a small child in red pajamas, red pajama shirt, red pajama pants, black socks that had the word Skechers in orange across the toes. I also observed a light and blue blanket that had been placed on top of it.
Okay. When you observed what you perceived to be a child, was there anything that drew your attention?
Yes.
Can you describe for the court what drew your attention?
The amount of duct tape that was covering the body.
Okay. Okay. Where was that duct tape located?
On the head, arms, and feet.
Okay. Let's talk about the head area. When you looked at the head, what did you observe there?
The head had a white plastic bag over the top of it. It appeared to be a normal trash bag, had a red drawstring. It appeared to be the expandable type of trash bag with the waffle style pattern.
Unbelievable.
On top of the head.
Okay. And you mentioned duct tape there. Where did you observe the duct tape?
There was duct tape that was tightly wrapped around this way, tightly from his chin to his forehead area. Several layers of duct tape tightly wrapped.
Okay. Who was that little boy?
Joshua Valla.
Okay.
Found JJ's body wrapped in garbage bags, but differently. His head was wrapped in a white garbage bag, and the rest of his body was wrapped all up, and head included, in dark garbage bags. So it got us thinking, is it possible that the way that JJ died was due to that white trash bag, that white garbage bag? Was it possible he suffocated? And if so, your natural instinct is to claw it off. How could that maybe be abated? Could it have involved drugging? So I
just have to pause it for one quick moment. Do you guys hear this? I mean, this is unreal to me. And this is what blew my mind. Is here was Donna, at least 6 months, like about 6 months, right, Donna? It was January 31st, 2020 when you made your very first reading on the kids. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just 4.5 months later, they found them exactly how I said. Yeah.
Exactly how she said. And right here, Court TV, Ashley Banfield saying, well, is it possible that that bag is the reason why he died? And here was Donna several months before saying that Lori took a bag, put it over his head, and duct taped it rapidly. You just can't make those details up. Right, Donna?
No,
I mean, it's crazy.
No.
It's unbelievable.
My father, who's a retired engineer, figured out the odds of like all the specific things I said being right would be less than 1 in a trillion.
Oh,
and, yeah. So, and that email that I originally sent to the police on January 31st was 9 pages long. And it was in that email dump that Justin Lum, the reporter Justin Lum, put out or got under the FOIA. My email was in there 3 separate times. So clearly they shared it, took it seriously enough to share it. So that's good.
Wow. Okay. That's just incredible. Every time I hear this, it brings it all back. Like, and I just feel like chills about it. It's so unbelievable what you were able to see, Donna. So I'm just blown away, honestly. Okay, I'm going to carry this on just so everybody can hear the rest who isn't familiar, let's say, with how she solved JJ and Tylee's murder. Okay, let me find it again. Here it is. Here we go.
Talk to Joseph Scott Morgan about that, and here's our conversation.
The first thing that jumps to mind, Ash, is the fact that JJ's body was wrapped in plastic, and that in and of itself is going to be a source for a wealth of information and evidence. You know, we've got things like latent fingerprints, hair, dead skin cells, which, you know, arises touch DNA, and people are thinking, well, the body was buried. You're going to have dirt on the outside. You're not going to have dirt on the inside potentially. So they have to be very, very careful when they're even removing the packaging that the body is in, because any disruption in that can disturb this very, very fragile evidence. And then beyond that, you know, you're going to be thinking from a kind of a chemical level relative to JJ. He did have the bag over his head. And you know, my thought is this a means in order to, say, for instance, suffocate JJ? I don't know, maybe so, but how do you get him to that point where you can place a bag over his head and kind of hold him in stasis, if you will, long enough to do that? That's where toxicology comes in.
With Tylee, it was equally Lori and Alex. It wasn't only Alex, and it wasn't mainly Alex. Actually, it was both of them, and at the same time, they both had this planned. They got Tylee to walk somewhere or do something, and Lori, it feels now like a metal pipe, and at the exact same, and Alex had rope in his pocket, and it's like they planned it. They got Tylee like oh, come here, we want you to see the, you know, see this or whatever. And at the exact same time, Lori starts smashing her in the head, and Alex strangles her with a rope, and they are literally doing it at the same time. They push Tylee face. Alex pushes her face down. He's got his knee in her back, and he's just pulling the rope as tight as he can. And Lori is just continuously, literally bashing her head in. And one thing people really need to know: this lady is so dangerous. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
It's unspeakable horror. I feel like he chopped her leg off. I feel like with the girl, he's chopping her body up. Like a butcher would. There's a garage and a building not connected to the little house, the little summer house. You know, it could be a permanent house, but that's the type and style and the feeling I have, that's all. There's the garage part is not connected to the main house. It's like considered an outbuilding here in California. It has a workbench around 3 sides of it. And it feels like he had the daughter's body on that workbench, and he's literally chopping it up. He's got plastic everywhere, but it seems to me there would be like so much blood evidence there. I almost feel like the house, well, it's definitely built between the 50s and the 70s. I feel like it's a 1-story, but it could be now a 2-story. Like maybe someone came along later and added one more, you know, a bedroom on half the house or whatever. It might even still be painted 2 different colors. Like if the bottom story has one color of paint, and then that addition has like still, they left it like wood brown where you stain the wood or whatever. Something like that. Smashing her skull with the butt of an axe or the handle part of an axe. It's just sickening. I see them starting a fire and roasting. It's like at this little summer home thing, and there's where you could conceivably like roast a pig there. It feels like they're roasting a leg, like the leg of the girl. I swear to God. I can't, it's hard for me to believe how this could be happening in my mind.
On that exhibit. So before we even set foot on the property, this is the fire pit area.
So from satellite imagery, similar to what this image is, this wasn't satellite imagery, I don't think, but similar to this image, we could tell that there was a fire pit on the property. Based on my experience, we knew before we even set foot on the property that we could potentially find evidence in the fire pit. So prior to even arriving, I had already assigned 2 of my ERT members, once we arrived, to go to that fire pit and assess what we needed to do to process this fire pit. Some of those assessments, once we got there, would be, is today, June 9th, 2020, is the fire pit we see today going to be the same fire pit as we had back in September of 2019? We don't know that, but we need to make an assessment by looking at what type of fire pit are we seeing. We see ash outside of today's known fire pit, that ring, we see ash around that. We already know going in that we need to process this fire pit because something could have happened here.
Gruesome. I mean, he might have even used a sledgehammer to break some bones to try to make them like unrecognizable and stuff like that, and to be like scattered quicker. But it's up in this, if you find the boy's body and it's where I say, then when you go up a little and you see this cluster of, you see the trees, you're walking in the middle of trees during all this. But looks like a bunch of ferns to me. Could be, I'm to be saying that it could be blackberry bushes for all I know, but just a bunch of fluffy bushes in the middle of all that. There's like a cluster of them. That's where he buried the limbs. And then it feels like then they go back to there. So I don't know if they go back or they did it all at once, but I just know that I'm getting a little chill about something. Okay, did they go there all at once? Did they bring your body there all at once? Did they bring her body there all at once? No, I'm not getting chills. Did he go back there on more than one occasion to bury these children's bodies? Big chill.
Seeing as we hit a bone, sticking out of the ground, and it kind of leads into some flesh. And at the time, our anthropologists still can't make a determination if that's animal or human. And so the team starts trying to excavate whatever this is. And then eventually we're able to excavate a few pieces. The major piece ends up being a pelvic piece.
Is that something you recognize as being a pelvic piece?
I'll say possible pelvic piece, but I mean, a pelvic piece is pretty familiar to me. So I would say I could recognize it, but I'll say possible pelvic piece. We knew at that point we had found human remains. This, for lack of a better term, it was kind of a mass of dismembered human remains. Burnt, partially burnt. And so we did the best we could. It was kind of hard to recognize, like, what are we looking at here initially? What is this? We know there's tissue here, there's organic matter here, and we just couldn't recognize what we were dealing with. But layer by layer, we ended up just excavating all around this mass of human remains. And we ended up excavating all the way around it. And at the very bottom of this mass, we find, this melted green bucket. And then to the bottom, the side of that green bucket, we eventually find a skull. And then to the side of that skull, we find a mandible with some teeth. And those are the significant things that you could finally see and recognize out of this mass. And so the team did the best they could to kind of excavate around this and kind of tell that story. And again, we'd stop every so often, take photos, take scans, and document that excavation process, just like we did at the burial site 1, layer by layer. And then eventually it came the decision point of, okay, now we need to try to lift these remains out of burial site 2.
I know it positively that she witnessed those murders, and she went on and was bold enough to actually, do readings and talk about them. And all right. I thank you so much for watching that. That right there in a nutshell is what blew my mind. We're talking like, what was it, over a year ago now, Donna, right? It was June 9th, 2020, when the children were found in Chad Daybell's yard.
Yes.
And it was shortly thereafter that I realized there was this amazing medium or psychic medium that got the whole story right. 5 months, 4.5 months, whatever it is, before anybody knew. That's amazing. Not only did you know he was in his pajamas, but you knew the method in which his mom did that. You knew how Tylee was dismembered and burned. You knew about the outbuilding and the fire pit and the way the home was laid out. These are details. Again, I hate to say it again, but I have to. You just can't make these details up. It's impossible.
No, you can't make all those details up. No,
you really can't. So I really wanted to share that because I think it's so important. And there was one thing that I did leave out of it. And it was because at the time it was pretty controversial to say this, but I believe you're 100% right when you say they ate her leg. Is that right, Donna?
Oh, I 100% know that. That's not even a guess. I saw it over and over and over, and these readings were so vivid and so graphic, and the way I receive information is mostly visual. And no, they were laughing. They cut up they barbecued it like you would a pig, and they were making sandwiches, and they were laughing, and they wrapped some of the meat up. They put it in Chad's deep freezer. I mean, there's no maybe about it. No maybe about it. And I'm only waiting to see if the coroner is honest enough to put those details in here, in the final reports that we see at trial. But I know that happened for sure. They ate her.
Yeah, they did. What could you tell everybody? What is it that made this connection, or what was it that, how did they present themselves to you, that this case of JJ and Tylee, how did that happen?
Well, okay, so I've been doing these cases privately just for years, and what happened with this case is I went on my computer one afternoon, and there was on the home screen, because I don't have TV reception, so on the home screen of there was this missing children poster, and as soon as my eyes locked with who is Tylee, I felt the presence of Nicole, who's my deceased daughter, at my side. And you could actually, it was so strong, you could actually see her in the air, it's like little saran wrap, like you can see the air moving. But I stood up right away, so I was face to face with my own daughter, and I said, "Hello, Nicole." And it was like a couple feet back from her, off to the left of her was the shorter teenage girl that I recognized from the poster. And my daughter said she needs your help. Her mother murdered her. And I'm like, no, mothers don't murder their daughters like that. And the girl was trying to tell me her mother murdered her. And then I'm like, can't be. So I look back to my daughter, and she's like, yeah, her mother murdered her. And so I said, okay, I'll do a reading. And then I just got my audio recorder, my little audio recorder, and I pray always. That's important for people to know. It's super important when you're doing this kind of work to pray and to call in your angels and Jesus or whatever deity that you use, but it's super important. So I did that, and then I just sat down that afternoon and I said everything she showed me on that first reading, the one that says Tylee Ryan most important. And it was so shocking. It was so hard for me to believe. Like, I mean, I even say I don't want to believe this, but then they made my head burning. Do you remember that? I said, I don't believe
I
they're
do
doing
remember.
this. And it was like my head, they actually made my head burning. So they wanted, you know, me to say it. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. Nobody would do this to their children. And even, you know, but I typed up, you know, as much of a kind of loose transcript for the police. And that was a 9-page email. And what happened was after the reading, I looked up, okay, where am I going to send this to? Which agency? And usually if you are going to do that, there's a lot of hoops that you jump through. Like you send them a letter, they ignore you, you call the tip line, they hang up. And usually how it turns out is I'll send them a very graphic letter. So they know I'm serious. And that when I looked up on Tylee and JJ, it was all these different states. It was Hawaii, Arizona, what's the other state? Montana, Idaho, the one that Yellowstone is in. Yeah, all these different states. They had no idea where the children were. And the media was speculating that the children were with prepper friends. So that could be anywhere in those states too. So that was what made my decision to put that online. So when I first put it online, I had no expectation that anybody other than law enforcement was going to be listening. So that's how that occurred. But apparently there was a lot of interest. And so, I mean, you could tell I don't even put a title on it. I flashed their picture once so I'd remember which case it was. And it just blew it up.
Yeah, it really did.
After the psychic overview that I did for that in February, then I was contacted by a relative of Joe Ryan's. And then we did the Joe Ryan reading. And then after that, Kresha, who is Kay Woodcock's daughter, contacted me, and her and I did like 4 or 5 readings. She wanted to keep doing them. And so we did a bunch. And also a friend of Lori's contacted me after the bodies were found. And we did that Tylee Ryan victory reading together. And I'm trying to think if there's more. I've talked with so many of Lori and Chad's friends now. It's very, very interesting experience with that whole case.
It really is. Donna, would you say that your ability, is it remote viewing or is there another name for it?
So
what is it that it's called?
Remote viewing refers to a technique developed by the military. And that's a certain technique.
Okay.
So in that you write down, it's like a whole procedure process. What I'm doing is not remote viewing. But in a way it's the same, it's very similar. But what I'm doing is I literally like pray and I spend time with the spirit guides and angels prior to doing a reading. But when I do that, I release my consciousness, and usually they'll have the spirit that they allow to connect. So my energy field is outside my body, and the spirit has their energy field, and we merge. And then the transfer of information can happen. But then there's other times where I lose all body awareness whatsoever, and it is like I'm standing in that place. So like with Tylee, the very last reading I did, it actually took me about 3 weeks to get over it, or to, I mean, even like feel normal again.
Yeah.
Because it was so graphic, and it was like I was standing right there watching everything. And I knew I couldn't do it again, no matter what. Like any evidence, I couldn't watch one more time, because it was so real. They put me in her body for just a split second, I'm sure. But
oh my gosh.
I think the purpose is they wanted me to know it was indoors where she was murdered, because why they did that, because they put me in her body, and then I saw, like, when your equilibrium's going off and you see the ceiling, and I saw the wall when I was going down sideways, then they pulled me out of her body. But then I'm watching her being like, she was, besides being chopped up, she had all her organs pulled out of her.
Yes.
So that's what they spread around. So I think they spread them around at the end of Trapper Lane. So it was like so graphic. I knew I couldn't do it again. But yeah. And even in one reading, I might go from there's like stages of where you're kind of just picking things up psychically out of the air. You're being given things. And then there's, even in the same reading, you might go back and forth between being so deep, you're barely even in your body. You know, a part of us stays in our body, but my consciousness is there at that space and time where that happened. And I'm watching.
Unbelievable. It really is amazing. Do you think, well, no, let me rephrase this. I think that it was purely your tip from the outbuilding, knowing that they dismembered her there. I know that that's what sent them into that outbuilding that day. I think it was last July. Because what ended up happening is, from your reading, and I know this to be true, from your reading, they went in and they swabbed the tool and found DNA on it, which is just like irrefutable evidence. You saw what you saw. And
didn't you call?
I did.
Or the detective?
I did. I called Ronnie Ball. Yes.
Yeah. So Lauren called the detective and told him all this stuff. And then the next day, a bunch of us, we were all watching, because then the police went back in and grabbed a couple tools. They grabbed.
Yes. And you know, it wasn't even the next day. It was like within 3 hours, Donna. It was crazy. Crazy. I'll never forget it.
It's been real interesting on that case, because every time I would put out a reading that would give more information, it felt like, I could be wrong, but it felt like to a whole lot of us who were watching that they put out information that confirmed what I had said in my latest reading. So it was my whole motive to keep going. And just, I just felt like on a mission to help Tylee Ryan, who is just, I love her. I really love her. And, we all know September 8th was the day she was murdered. It's a coincidence we set up this live, and it turns out on that date, because my sole goal was to serve Spirit and serve Tylee Ryan and Charles, who were in my house for like 4 months. And sorry, my alarm just went off. Let me turn that off.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, they were in my house, and I just want people to know. I wouldn't call Tylee pushy, but I did call her the most adamant spirit I have ever worked with. Spunky.
Interesting.
And she's got a sarcastic, fun sense of humor. I really love her. She's come back and visited on multiple times since I did those readings. She's funny, and but she was adamant. So she was push during this 4 months. Charles was always at her side, and he was very persistent, but he was more patient. But Tylee, she just, they needed those bodies found, and that's what we were going to do until it happened. And Tylee.
That's so interesting. That's
I called
absolutely
her Little Miss
incredible.
Adamant. Little Miss Adamant is the best word for her. It's just determined. And I'll tell you, she wanted every single person to know what her mother did to her. And from the beginning, I was even like, Tylee, this stuff's a little much, because at first I was like, could she be lying to me? Like, who would do this? Who would really chop their kid up? Who would really do this? But the only reason I even trusted her that much is because my daughter brought her in.
Right.
So daughter appeared. So my daughter, and I'm sure my daughter couldn't do that alone without all the spirit guides. So they knew, and that's what gave me the trust in what this girl was telling me. But like when I said, in one of them I said, Tylee, do you have anything you want to say to your mother? And she just showed me, it was like either a table or a bookshelf, like it just pure blood coming off, just coming off.
Oh my gosh.
She really wanted her mother exposed. She wanted everybody to know every gruesome detail about what her mom did. And because she knows her mom's a hustler, her mom's a master of manipulation. And she really, and then Charles, his motivation, he really wanted Lori and Chad held responsible.
Yeah. Good. Thank God. Hopefully. Of course, she's doing this insanity thing. What's going to come of that? What do you think?
Okay, so I worked in a juvenile institution for about 6 months before I transferred out to a social worker at juvenile parole. And when I worked in the juvenile institution, they had cottages, and one of them was the mentally ill cottage. And I'll tell you, I'd rather work in any other cottage than that one.
Okay.
Just the vibes of it. If I was serving prison time, or like Lori is going to be somewhere, they can never let her go. Her and Chad are so dangerous, both of them.
Oh, totally.
Totally. So and I would rather just be in a regular prison. I don't know what she thinks she's doing over there, but it's not pleasant to be in the energy vibration of a whole lot of really sick people.
I know. Wow, Donna, it is so interesting to talk about this and to finally do a live together, because we've talked about it for a really long time. And I, of course, was on the fence, and it just but here we are today. And I'm so glad that we get to do this, really. Should we talk about, you want to go into Summer Wells? Suzanne Morphew next.
Sure.
Summer Wells. Okay. Would you let everybody know, just basically, how was it the first time you connected with Summer Wells and her experience? Like, what stood out the most?
See, a couple months ago, I was working on a project and I really didn't have any spare time, but I saw a little news clip come on my YouTube, which streams, the news stations, and it was about the little girl missing. And the first thing, I got what I call a psychic plop. It's like not me trying to think, it's like them just giving me something. And it was about that documentary that I shared it's called on YouTube here, it's called Just Melvin, Just Evil. That's what this case was about. And that was, I hadn't seen that documentary in over 10 years, but I watched it again. And it was about this man who raped all these little girls, his own children. And he married another woman who had a bunch of little girls, and he would rape them all. 14 girls were raped growing up by this man repeatedly. And he also sold them. He sold them in this pedophile ring. So as far as I know, none of them went missing, but he would sell them for sex. Very similar to what I feel Candace doing. So I feel that both Candace and Dawn are equally guilty. And I feel like the grandmother has knowledge. So anyways, it was back then, and I was kind of busy, and I did tap in a couple times. And I need to go back into my audios, because another thing people don't know is when I go into trance, I go as far as you can go between sleep and wake. So one of the exercises, like if you want to develop psychically, is at that time when you start to fall asleep and you're going to fall asleep and it only lasts like a second or two, you try to hold that. Try to hold that as long as you can without waking up or going to sleep, because that's the zone of your mind where you can tune in with spirit. And so I'm sure I have several recordings from back then, because I would also meditate generally. And then sometimes they'll show me, say if they show me Summer coming in her yard, then they're going to start showing me some stuff about her. Or then all of a sudden we're over in Salida and they're showing me stuff about that case. So there's some meditations I have that have information from multiple cases. And I haven't went back through them yet.
Okay. And what's cool is you got that new, what's it called, Otter or something? The thing that does the transcribing for you?
Yeah. So I saw that on somebody else's live for the first time. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? How much time that would save with all my readings to be able to drop them in there and put them in the spot. And, I hand transcribed all the readings I did on the Tylee Ryan case, and it's over 600 pages. So those are long readings. Yeah.
600 pages?
Yeah. Just of the readings transcribed. So some are like 90 minutes long and stuff like that. So.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Well, how about this? I would like to go over the parts where you're seeing what seems to be a carousel, a steam engine, and let's relate back to what we think that means. You want to do that?
Yeah. Okay. And so tell people,
yes,
there's one thing that's the psychic vision. And then the
Yes.
next thing is trying to find the clues, using those clues to find the location. So we figured out some stuff based on the psychic vision. Now, what it appears it could be wrong, but that doesn't mean the psychic vision is wrong, right? So
Gotcha.
what we're going to do is we're going to look at, I gave Lauren these couple of readings to upload about trying to help in the Summer Wells case. And so then for all these people send me pictures and letters that are listened to the readings, right? So I formed a little group for them, and they've come up with quite a bit of information.
They totally have. And we'll go through those photos here in a second. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the parts where she's seeing these various things, and then we'll relate it to the pictures that these incredible sleuthers that Donna's connected to, and what they found. And it completely correlates, doesn't it, Donna? Completely.
Oh, it's shocking. It's shocking.
It's shocking.
They find everything. These people, they find everything. And in every case, there's these people that, write in after the readings, and I put them in a group called Psychics and Sleuths. It's hidden because I'm trying to keep it safe and small, because in the Idaho case, it was definitely infiltrated and lots happened to us.
For sure. Yeah.
And that's why I'm just keeping it small to those people. And so after one of the readings, all these people were sending in pictures saying, it sounds like part of what you're saying is Gatlinburg, right? And then separate to that, somebody emailed me and said, did you know the family went to Gatlinburg, even the grandma, like they all went to Gatlinburg the week before. And that's separate than all these people sending photos of Gatlinburg. Yeah.
Right.
So do you have the photos, or do you want me to talk about it?
You know what? I'm going to play the parts just so they know what we're talking about here, about the upside down carousel and that kind of thing. I do need to warn you, everybody, trigger warning. This is pretty raw. Okay. It's very raw, but I'm going to go ahead and play it. That way we can connect these clues, because I know they're going to be relevant. The same relevance as what the outbuilding was for JJ and Tylee. Same relevance. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Bear with me for a moment, please. Okay. Let me get the right point here.
Interpretation I would get would be that people can rest assured that people have reported this. People have reported, like, say, Robin or whoever, people have reported what they know. Whoever, friends, whatever. It feels like Dawn is saying, we got to get rid of Summer. We can't keep her around. Like, we're going to lose all the kids. It's like both of them, but Summer brings up the idea. I mean, Candace, that's how it feels to me. And it feels like I feel spirit energy, but I don't have feel so okay. That's Dawn's primary fantasy age. And for the next 5 years. So if he could get away with it, why would he get rid of his daughter when he just has his fantasy right there? At his discretion and disposal, right? He's got a wife that grew up being abused, a grandmother that probably grew up being abused as well. They're very aggressive people. They just have no mercy on this little Summer. Like, I got a wave of spirit energy. Kind of a chill on one leg there. I'm seeing a kitchen. I don't know if it's a kitchen, but like they're. Anyways, I'm seeing like the refrigerator. I know they said JJ was on top, but I see the girl on top. I see Summer on top of the refrigerator. She was hard to handle, and Candace didn't like the constant. It just feels like Candace whacks her across the head all the time. Wow. Feels like the Candace is the leader about getting rid of Summer.
And one excuse she has is Don's fixation on her. Another excuse she has is the CPS investigation could reveal massive sexual abuse, not just by Don, but by Candace.
Wow.
And Candace selling her to people like Jose or whatever.
Unbelievable.
So you have this man camping across the street watching the family. Why would he shave his head and his beard except for to not let them get his hair follicles? And if he went back to his wife's house, did he shave his pubic hair and his arm hair and his leg hair also? I have a sick feeling in my stomach. I don't have any chills. Could this man have done this? See, the thing is, Summer was for sale, just like Dawn's Facebook profile. Who would put this obvious glaring, this is a pedophile for sale signal, this red barrel that says for sale, and then she has Summer dancing in the rain? What the hell do we think it means? Yeah, I got chills again. Mama sold her daughter to pedophiles.
Oh my gosh.
I'm also getting a J, Jason. And that could be a total random person. It could be the name of a street. It could be anything. And it also could be that I'm getting the whole. First, I'm getting J, and then Jason, but the J is big, so it might just be they're trying to get me to say J. That's how mediumship is. Like, it's very fluid and it's very interpretive of what they show you. And they're not, well, sometimes you get a thought transfer, sometimes you hear a sound, but it's mostly visual. I still am getting like beaten to death and stabbed to death, but I mean, it's like for a movie. I don't have chills though. Maybe it's because I'm not supposed to put it online. Grandma? Okay, so what's information that law enforcement, it doesn't matter to prove anything to people. What's information that law enforcement can use? And I got a chill on my leg. Ivy Bridge train. Steamboat. Not an actual steamboat, it's just like a name wisping by or something wisping by. So it could be on a sign, it could be a picture, it could be anything. And it could be like you're driving up the street and you see a sign that has a steamboat or something like that. And I got chills, a little bit of chills on my legs about that. You know, it could be the name of something bigger like a town or something, but I don't know. I mean, it could be super small, like the name of a street or the name of the thing. It could be a billboard for all I know, you know. I got chills on my legs about it, so I'll put that.
Are you talking, Donna? Hold on, let me pause. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, because I think in that 12-minute, the first one is where there's all this about Gatlinburg, and I know a few people on Facebook seem confused. So I'd like to clarify that if that's okay.
Yeah.
In Gatlinburg, okay, so I don't know for sure this is Gatlinburg. All I know is the things that I was shown is like the gum chain, the gum wrapping chain. The crew found it. It is in the Ripley's Museum in Gatlinburg, the world's longest gum chain. The House of Mirrors is at the Ripley's Museum, or it's owned by Ripley's, and there it's in Gatlinburg. The aquarium where you walk through and you see the sharks and stuff is in Gatlinburg. Of course, carousels in Gatlinburg, they're everywhere. But what they were doing there, and then there's even the Twin kept coming in. A mile out of Gatlinburg, you go through a tunnel and there's Twin Creek's Path, which personally, if I was in Tennessee, I'd at least walk around there. and see what I
Yeah.
felt.
Right.
So during that time, the things, oh, and then where everything's upside down, somebody found in that Enchanted Life path guy, he found that there's a place called Wonderworks it's 10 miles from Gatlinburg, and everything is that all these buildings are upside down. And
Hold on, I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it right now. This is crazy. Hopefully it shows everything. Can everybody see this okay? I hope.
So
Let's
that's the
see.
world's largest gum chain.
Okay,
I
let
don't
me
think
go
that's the right gingerbread house. Oh, but there was the candy store they found. So that's the world's largest gum chain. It's the world record gum chain. So that was like a mind-blowing clue for me, because I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, I haven't thought of those in 40 years. I don't think that's the gingerbread house. I think the candy house, the candy store in Gatlinburg with the two poles that are wrapped in the candy cane. I think that's what I saw. Because when I saw that, my mouth actually dropped open.
Oh
because
my gosh.
Any clearer. And then,
Unbelievable.
yeah. So the aquarium, this is the Twin Creeks path that's just outside of Gatlinburg. So what was going on there in that trip to Gatlinburg is there was a middleman, or, you know, a buyer, right? A prospective buyer. And I do believe he's the one that looks similar to Darren from the Black and White Bewitched, because that's what they'll show me. They don't want to show me the real person. I think they don't want me to get myself killed, you know, by pointing out all these people. But so they always show me this person, Darren from the Black and White Bewitched, but he was there that day. So what he was doing was he wanted to take a bunch of photos of, you know, with Summer and where she looks like some all-American kid running around. And I had the feeling that's for like to show other pedophiles, right? For his pedophile ring, and to see if he wanted to purchase her. So the trade-off wasn't happening there. Like a couple of people thought, oh, where did he take her to a carousel to trade off? No, because the other things I was seeing where I kept feeling like, and I hadn't even looked at a map of Tennessee. I'm all the way in California, and it's like Tennessee Hills, and I was saying winery or brewery. Well, there's a Tennessee Hills distillery in Jonesboro, and it felt like originally Summer was taken to that general area, not to the distillery, but to that area. And then remember seeing a gazebo directly behind Tennessee Hills Distillery is Gazebo Park. So you could type in Gmaps, Gazebo Park, Jonesboro, Tennessee, and you will literally come up with that. And the steam train goes in between the Tennessee Hills Distillery and this Gazebo Park and goes alongside it. So, and that Enchanted Life Path person, a YouTube channel, he found that he sent me something and said that Dawn Wells was working only 6 minutes away from there.
Oh my gosh.
Away. So if the person says that he left for 35 minutes, what they weren't sure where he went, he may have went and met Candace to do the trade-off right at that park there, or somewhere in that general area. So those are like, I even have chills on my legs right now. So if anything got to the police, it would be to look through. I'm sure if the family did go to Gatlinburg the week before and they have all the cell pings, then in that surveillance tape, they would want to look for a person that has looks similar to that Black and White Darren from Bewitched. That is the person who purchased the child. And
unbelievable.
It seems to have happened in this area, and it may have happened in this area just because Dawn was working there. So that was what he arranged. Or, you know, they could have brought her up in the hills there. They could have brought her a whole different place. I don't know where they brought her afterwards. I just saw what I saw. And, you know, again, hopefully it's wrong. Like you've said, and I asked you to tell people, the world's strongest psychic mediums are still wrong 1 out of 5 times. So, you know, I only hope I'm wrong. I hope Summer comes home alive. You know, I hope nothing bad happened to her, but what I saw was a snuff film. I'm just going to be blunt, okay? It was bad. What I saw was bad, really bad. And either way, there's some people who need to go to prison. Really.
Absolutely.
Go to prison. And I really hope that if everything I saw was correct, I hope that these parents end up with guilt for the rest of their life when they found out what became of their daughter that they got rid of for cash.
Right.
I hope they're dealt with in prison. I hope they go to prison, and I hope they remember every day of their lives what they did.
Me too, Donna. Now, I remember, excuse me, in your first reading of Summer Wells, the 12-minute-ish one that you sent me that I put out.
Yeah.
You say a dollar figure of $50,000. Do you think was that directly from Spirit, like the price amount? Like, do you think that's actually what it was?
I was just getting running information at that time, kind of like running into my head. And the feeling that I got, so, you know, could be wrong and stuff, but the feeling that I got was that the person who purchased her, that's for a pedophile ring to be sold into trafficking and that kind. They would have kept her around for longer, you know, years probably, except for it became high profile. So that's where it stood. They made a decision and they had to do a standard dozier, D-O-Z-I-E-R. I didn't even know what that meant. Like, I looked it up. Every meaning we can find for it is not good.
Yeah.
And the person, if the police saw that resembled Darren Stevens, that guy, the black and white, when Bewitched was black and white, that guy was present when she was I mean, I saw her murdered. Hopefully it's all wrong. Hopefully, you know, it's some crazy things that went in my head, but I hope, you know, I always hope I'm wrong.
That's how I know, me too.
But he was present. And the person who did it, you know, I saw some jerk in the comments. I shouldn't even respond like that, but said something about Donna sees them making a movie, blah, blah, blah. No, I saw them make a snuff film. Okay, let me be very clear. This was not pleasant. This was not good. The person was wearing some sort of costume and mask. And I saw the child beat up severely, and I saw her stabbed to death. It's not funny. It's not a joke.
No.
If the mods are on here, if anybody makes a joke out of it, just delete them. I just have no patience at all. You know, obviously, I prayed last night that I was wrong. So I
pray you're wrong too, Donna. I think I said that in one of the intros or something. I think it was in the first intro. I think I said, or no, it was the last part. I said, here's to mediumship being wrong, because I want it to be wrong. I want Summer to be alive.
Yeah.
You know, I really do. But I also don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, Donna, please. You're a guest.
Well, I wanted Tylee to be alive. I wanted to be wrong so bad. You know, I had planned, okay, I'm going to have a party if I'm wrong. I'm going to get champagne and cheese, and it's going to be, I'm going to have a party that I was wrong. But like with Tylee, by like the third reading, it gets more graphic each time. So like even the second reading I did for you, you know, Lauren asked me to do this, and I'm doing this to help and for no other reason. And I'm doing it for Summer. And, but so I can't even remember what I was going to say, but I just, you know what, the second reading, I prayed, please show me an alternate besides this, you know, and then when I said, I mean, please, is she alive? Show me if she's alive. And they showed me her murdered again.
Oh, so that's really, to me, a confirmation, Donna. You too, obviously.
Yeah. It's not looking too good. It's not looking too good. So, you know, I would think I get ready to write a letter, you know, to law enforcement and tell them all our findings about Gatlinburg and Jonesboro and ask them, you know, I'm sure they went and got the surveillance. If it's true that they went to Gatlinburg and all their cell phones are pinging all over Gatlinburg, then they went and picked up that surveillance everywhere they could, I'm sure. I would think. And then all they need to do is look through that and look for this guy that kind of resembles the black and white Darren, and that's their guy right there.
Unbelievable.
It's solved if they do that, if they have that.
Yeah. Exactly. So let's go through, if you don't mind. We saw what Hunter said, right? We saw his so-called timeline, which I think, honestly, Hunter's probably pretty right on. I think Candace is the liar here, and I think Dawn's the liar. Sorry, just going to put that out there.
Yeah.
Let's, if we can, try to give an approximate, like, what do you think happened that day? So they went to the horse pond, right?
Mhm.
They drop Hunter off. Or no, sorry, they went to Walgreens because Hunter was still in the car, wasn't he? From what I understand. Or was that before?
You tell me. I watched the interview with Hunter. I saw that him and Candace had some things different, but
yes,
you know, in my logical mind, I thought dry drowning. You know, before I did any readings, I thought dry drowning. The mom knows she's under CPS investigation already, so just have what Candace has all kinds of sex offenders on her friend list, just so people know. It's not just Dawn. Dawn does too, but so does Candace. And and so I believe that she is selling that child for sex. And I believe that she didn't want to be there with Dawn while he's molesting the child. And that's now her I mean, she grew up being molested. She grew up being raped. She grew up. This is all what men do, what people do, to her. And so which store they went to, I don't know that that's the problem. I thought maybe my logical mind, so my logical mind's different from when I go into a trance. I could think something with my logical mind, and when I go into a trance, the spirit people could show me something totally different. And, at some point, Candace must have met up with Dawn.
Yes.
Whether
that's
she's Jones, and see, that's the thing the police will know is if she had her cell phone with her, the police will know what happened. Oh, that's the other thing people should know. And I just got chills on my legs is they showed me somebody's going to be arrested and somebody is going to lead them to the body. So I think people can kind of rest assured about that. I have a feeling they're probably seeing how far they can investigate into this pedophile ring. Okay, because this is an underground network of people who really like to hurt children and see children hurt, and they're probably doing that, and probably if she was murdered, trying to figure out where the body was put and that kind of thing. But I was shown that there will be an arrest, and that one of the people, because I see the person in handcuffs, and he's the person's leading them to the body. So that's what I see happening.
That's so good that you see that. See, my concern really is that here we are, that law enforcement and everything, they're looking into this. But what if they're not looking at the days preceding her disappearance? That's like my concern, but I'm sure they're looking at everything. That's just my own worry.
Maybe. I'm planning on writing them a letter about like showing them everything that was found, just so they're aware of that. And if they haven't, noticed this guy in the background and a bunch of surveillance things, or if they don't know that this was an arranged kind of semi-meeting, not where you're hanging around with him, but where he can walk around and watch her and decide if he wants to buy her.
Oh my gosh. It's so hard to conceptualize that this is real, but it is real. And this is happening all over.
Yeah, it's shocking. It's shocking.
It is shocking.
The other day, really weird. I almost never answer my phone, and this lady from Utah called, and then she gave me somebody's name. She was talking about child trafficking, but she was talking about her experience trying to help. I guess she was part of some place that was trying to help, stop that around there. And she told me someone's name, and I watched a couple things on YouTube, and I was shocked. And I sent you the link of one of them. I was just like, wow. Yeah, it's hard to believe that anybody would do this to their own child. But apparently people actually have children for the purpose of doing this.
Yes.
Or selling them, or putting them in human trafficking. Yeah.
And so the crux of it is, in this particular situation, this family dynamic here, in Candace's home, it's that Don is paying attention to Summer. He doesn't give much attention to Candace. She's gotten tired of it because she's sick of seeing this relationship.
Right there, I see this she's laying right there, right? They're
Oh
all
my gosh.
She knows, and then you just look at all that for confirmation. All you do is look at all those photos of the poor little girl grabbing her crotch. I mean,
yes,
she's sore, she's in pain.
yes,
These people are just horrible people. They're lower than scum.
I know. And I remember the day, I think you wrote me some messages and you're like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. People know these people are sick. Remember that? Like about, I don't know, a week or two ago. And at that point I was done too. I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt before that. And I was trying to like kind of be patient about it. Okay, well, maybe they're just whatever. They're just really dysfunctional. But when you gave me that confirmation, no, Lauren, like this is what's going on. I was done. I was from now.
That's how I felt too, because like in a way, I feel a little, I did feel a little sorry for Candace. Like she's never had a life herself. She had very similar life that her daughter did, that she gave her daughter, and I fully believe that grandma there has turned the other eye around and pretended she didn't see that her brother's molesting the daughter. Mom Candace. The probably her father, like this Candace herself has been abused since she was little. And and then now here's her husband preferring what she sees as sex, which is not sex, it's rape, to that child. And so she's seeing the child as competition to her. But beyond that, as a power struggle between them, because the child also knows that she's holding more power there, and the mom is selling the child to all her sex predator friends. I mean, I'm not gonna, it's a sick thing, but Candace Wells belongs in prison, and Don Wells belongs in prison. They both do. And so does, the grandmother knows exactly what occurred. In fact, the grandmother may have even suggested it. So she's not innocent either. None of them are. All three of them should be arrested, in my opinion, including, and then this person who looks like Darren Stevens was also present. I saw her murdered and I saw him present there.
Oh, wow. So the fact that his name is Darren Stevens, do you think that this speaks to the real person's name maybe being Darren? Or he just looks like Darren? Like, what do you think?
He looks like Darren. He looks like Darren Stevens. They showed me because I saw the men. And then remember I said, I could see him. He looks like Darren Stevens from the Black and White Bewitched. And that's what they would let me see. They wouldn't let me see his actual face, but they were showing me, here he is, see him. And then they showed me the photo of Darren Stevens. So he looks similar to Darren Stevens. That's the person who they should be looking for. One of them.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. And I want to say something real quick. Do you think the reason Candace tries to suppress her femininity is because of this habitual molestation her whole life, like being molested? Do you think that ties in together? Like she dresses more in manly clothes. Do you think does that all correlate? Because in my mind, it does. You're trying to make yourself a little less attractive so that guys won't come after you.
It could be. And I also see a lot of the drug abuse as kind of a self-medication thing. And if she's really bipolar, which she probably is, the marijuana probably helps even that out. But I think she's on painkillers. Like in that one first interview when she finally came out and talked, she kept smacking her mouth. That's from narcotics. Yeah. Yeah, so I know. Like one of these OxyContin problems. And I believe, how do you pay for that?
Exactly.
You have to put a forced suffering on your child. And you know what? It's a sad, sick, multi-generational thing, but they all need to go to prison.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. Donna, are you cool if we go ahead and take some of these questions? I know people have been super patient. Thank you so much for your patience. Also, thank you so much for your super chats. I'm sorry. I am so new at this that they came in and I had so much going on. I didn't get to address them right when they happened, but please know I'm going to write up a thank you as a community post. And also I posted Donna's link so that you guys can, rather than doing anything for me, I would love if you just donated to her. That would be awesome, because we need to keep her motivated, you know, to continue on the road she is, because she helps numerous lives in what she does. So anyway, let's go ahead. Oh, go
I
ahead.
appreciate that, because it costs money. Like it costs $100 to buy the otter, and you know, to even do this cost money. That
it sure does.
I do appreciate that. And also, I want to apologize if I'm not answering, because these aren't my computer glasses. They broke, and I ordered new, so I can't even read it. It's all blurry.
Oh,
they go like that.
How about I go ahead and read this to you, Donna? You want me to read it? Okay.
You can read the big one and put it up there, but go ahead.
Okay. Were they paid in advance, or was the payment to come later? What do you think?
Okay, so the thing to understand about those psychic readings is I see what I'm shown.
Okay.
So just because I'm psychic doesn't mean I know everything. I didn't see that part of it. I didn't see, I just saw that he was there for that. He was there to take pictures. And then I saw a catalog, like Summer would be in a catalog for the underground pedophiles. But I didn't see the money. I didn't actually even see the handoff. So I don't know.
Okay. It's just you kind of connected the dots and knew that there was a handoff. It made sense that there was, because obviously she's not around anymore at the home, right?
People now. Yeah, she's with the other people. And I got the feeling that, you know, they said, well, your parents don't want you, you know, you're here and stuff like that. But but I only know, I think it's good for people to know, like with psychics, you know what they show you, or at least mediums. You know what you've been shown, and I wasn't shown either way about that.
Right. Okay. Let's go ahead and take another one. Mask. Okay. Was he wearing a mask of Darren Stevens? So the guy that you saw do the final thing to Summer, was he wearing a mask too, or just the top hat that you recall?
Oh, I saw him wearing a mask. So it's kind of his face. He was wearing a kind of a costume looking outfit with a top hat. And he was wearing a mask, and he wasn't wearing a mask of Darren Stevens. I saw Darren Stevens in the room. And so I'm not 100% sure if that guy, you know, because with the mediumship, if you watch it, can kind of overlay. But he was present. This Darren Stevens looking character was present during the murder. So no, it wasn't a mask. It was that you'll see whenever he's arrested, he'll have looks that are similar to Darren Stevens, the black and white Darren Stevens.
Unbelievable. Wow. Okay. Now, outside of your psychic intuitive sense, do you think it's possible? So this is your own opinion. Do you think it's possible Robin is any way involved, the church lady Robin, who was close to Summer? Just in your opinion.
I would be really, really sad if I found out that she was, because she really looks like a good soul.
I know.
She looks like a truly giving, caring person that loves God. And I would be so sad to find that out if that was the case. I did feel like there is a pedophile at that church, but I was shown him. He has like brunette hair and big sideburns. But I didn't see him as related to this whole thing. Like he, you know, it's just that he is there. Like I kept getting a feeling of a pedophile being at the church who's, you know, there's these apparently pedophile rings and stuff like that. But I didn't see him as part of this. But they showed him to me for some reason. So, you know, in the best case scenario, you could have Robin and those guys adopting Summer out to this loving family, and who's going to raise her with love instead of sexual abuse. Like that would be a best case scenario.
It sure would.
I don't see Robin as being a bad person or being part of it, and I think it'd really make me sad if I found out something like that.
Me too. I think she seems like a very genuine person. And I think she truly did care for Summer, but she didn't want to step on anybody's toes. She didn't want to go there. And I could understand that. You don't want to get in other people's business. But I think if you sense that there are crimes against a child, like, you have to go outside of that discomfort and report it, because it could have saved Summer's life. It really could have.
She may have, though. You don't know.
Yeah.
Like, there was a CPS case and they were investigating, and there had been multiple calls about.
Donna, just me.
Okay, I'm on the phone.
Don.
Yeah. What were we saying? Yeah, you don't know who's called. Robin may very well have called CPS. People at the church may have very well called CPS, because CPS keeps it confidential, you know. But I think probably a few people have called CPS on this situation.
Right. Yeah, it's my hope that maybe the reason these kids, the three brothers, were taken out of the home ahead of time, just so it would be maybe a smoother transition when they do get arrested. What are your thoughts about that, Donna? Just the fact that they took the kids first.
I think Grandma got a really good excuse to leave the state and avoid questioning.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, because if your 5-year-old granddaughter was missing, like, I messaged her with a little bit of my work and offered to help her. The next day when I tried to message her again, she had blocked my messages, and I'm like, really?
Gosh.
You know, anybody who in that kind of situation who wouldn't want us. I'm certified, I'm tested, I am an actual spiritualist reverend. I've gone through a 4-year training. I've proven myself, but they're like, no, stay away. Yeah, because they're hiding so much. They're hiding so much. I don't think anything that any of them do is on behalf of the children. And I hope that those boys get taken away and put in a normal home.
Yeah, for sure.
They're not safe with Grandma. If she can pimp them out, it wouldn't surprise me if she did at all.
Oh gosh. Scary, isn't it?
She's no better than Candace. And I look at those two and I don't even know how Candace can even talk to her mother.
I know. You know, on a side note, I couldn't believe the ridiculous excuse in that article that somebody wrote about what Candace's testimony, basically about the day Summer went missing. And in that, Grandma, I guess somewhere down the road, I guess she had given some excuse that the boys, when they were in Gatlinburg, kept kicking her knee. And so that's why she needed to go to the doctor that Tuesday, just before Summer went missing. Did you know that, Donna? She said that they kept kicking her knee.
I think you might have
what
told
an
me that in
excuse.
the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Anything to go get some oxys, right?
Exactly. I could see her being like majorly into the doctor shopping concept, where you go person to person to person, you know, doctor to doctor, get a new script.
I just think they're all bad. I think that grandmother allowed people to rape Candace, Summer's mother, growing up. I think she had a hell of a life. And I don't know how she can talk to her mother, except she thinks it's normal. You know, the moms in these situations pretend they don't see what's going on, right? So as the kid tries to tell them, or they'll blame it on the kid. Oh, don't seduce your father. You know, come on.
Yeah.
She's guilty. Right. That grandmother's guilty of so many crimes. It's not even funny. And she's just a female Dawn Wells, in my opinion. I don't know that she's less guilty if she wasn't the one that did it, or she turned away and pretend it wasn't going on while she let her brother do it or her husband do it. You know, to me, she's guilty.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. A big eye opener for me was when Candace did her interview with Chris McDonough. And then Chris comes over to her house, unexpected, does the tour. They go down the stairs, those crazy, what are they, scaffolding stairs?
Oh,
she
weird.
gets, and Chris and her go down into that basement. Candace shows off to, I think it was the left, where Summer supposedly slept next to her brother all that time, right? There was a pillow and I think a blanket on the bed.
Right.
Well, so you see the bed and all that, and it's just like, okay, so this is really not like where a child should be. It just seemed
and then you have
unbelievable.
Dawn, and then you have Dawn later say, "Oh no, Summer slept in our bed since she was
Exactly.
born." And I'm like, yeah, I bet she did.
Bingo. Exactly. That's what I was going to say is there are two conflicting stories, which says Candace didn't want to say what she knew. And she didn't want to admit that she had been sleeping all that time in between Dawn and her.
Yeah. So Candace was caught in a lie. And if you look at her face when she lies, she has no problem lying at all.
Yeah.
When your life is a lie, when you've been taught to lie, you know, when they're being molested and raped when they're children and they're being taught whatever, you know, they'll kill the whole family if you tell, they'll take you away or we'll kill you or whatever. These kids are raised in terror. And so we saw what Candace looks like when she lies is she can keep a straight face and lie.
Oh, I know. She's really good at lying. Really good. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right. So shall we take some more of these questions? Sure. Okay. In your opinion, how much longer do you think till Summer is found?
I don't know. And I heard that some other psychics said December, but I really don't know. I do feel like they're trying to get their tentacles into as far as they can into this pedophile ring. That's what I feel like they're doing, what I hope that they're doing. But I do see the arrest because I see that, like I said, I see the person in handcuffs showing them where the body is. Yeah. So, they're showing me that for a reason. I got chills on my legs. So it'll happen. You know? Yeah,
it's just eventually. We don't know.
Yeah, in the Idaho case, I don't know that it was going to happen if I didn't do what I did, which just kind of gung ho and just keep reading after reading after reading. And in the Idaho case, one of the people that wrote me back he's actually the brother-in-law of Chad Daybell's brother. So they knew that was Chad's house from all my letters.
Oh my gosh.
But with Summer, it's not going to be necessary to do that because the police are on top of it. Like I'm going to write a letter about this character. But I think that's probably what they're doing is seeing how deep they can get, that maybe they can bust more than just these people. Yeah.
Real quick, Donna, I remember you telling me maybe, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, possibly, that back when, was it JC Duggard that you started to tap into? Was it that case?
You mean Jamie Kloss?
Jamie Kloss. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I'm sorry. And that you had sent out like a transcript, right, of your reading. Is that how it went? Could you tell that story real quick?
Okay, sure. So I've been doing this for years. And not putting it online. The Idaho case, like I said, the reason that was put online, and then kind of everyone kept asking me to do more. But with Jamie Kloss, I actually was doing an experiment. I wanted to see if I could solve an entire case on EVP. So that's a whole nother, probably would take you an hour and a half to talk about.
Right.
Typically what happens is, say if I call the tip line, those people aren't trained to deal with psychics. They're like, blah, 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 and they hang up.
Yeah.
And then, so I wrote a very graphic email, very graphic. Okay, here's what I've seen. Here's what I know. And the detective did call me, and he told me that they had received 600 emails from people claiming to be psychics and telling them what they think happened. And he said when they read my email, half of what I told them they already knew, but they hadn't released it to the public. So we had some conversations, like we talked for over an hour that day. He gave me his private work cell phone and his private work email and told me just don't bother with the tip line. If I receive anything, just send it to him. And so in that case, I was working with her father named James. I was working with him on the EVP most of the time.
Okay.
That's my experience on the EVP. I want to only do EVP. EVP is a tool, but spirits can knock other spirits out of the way. And if they're stronger, it doesn't matter if they're good or bad. However strong they are, they can knock other people out of the way. So you can't be 100% sure. There's, I think, more protection with doing what I do.
Okay.
But is there anything else you wanted me to say about that case?
No, I just wanted you to tell that side of it, that detective basically said out of all these people that yours was like what they already knew and never released to the public. Because to me, that's another example of just how accurate your readings are, honestly,
and that's
what you pick up.
the thing about giving them all the details, because he said, like, we already knew half of what you said. He said, that's why I'm calling you. And then I said, I don't want to talk to any small town detective who doesn't really understand psychics. Can you put an FBI agent on the line? And he said, Donna, there's 35 FBI agents here. None of them want to talk to you. And so we both started laughing. I think that's how we started off.
Funny.
And he was really nice, though. We had really good conversation. We talked several times for like, an hour each time or something. And like the first time, sometimes they'll give you a test. Like he said, okay, so you have 24 hours. I want you to tell me where the bodies were found, what position they were in, what weapon was used, like a lot of details that weren't released to the public. So.
Gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So on another note, have you picked up anything on Rose Bly ever since doing readings on Summer Wells?
I haven't even tried at all. I offered.
Yes, I remember that.
In fact, the message I wrote to the grandmother was really nice. I said, if you want a reading where we don't even talk about the crime, where you just want to hear from your daughter Rose, I can do that kind of reading for you. Or if you do want to talk about the crime, I can do that, and as well as Summer or not Summer, like whatever you want to Grandma. She didn't want clearly to hear from her daughter, not enough to risk getting exposed for what she is. So no, I won't be doing Rose Bly. And the thing of it is it takes a lot out. It's hard to watch people murdered. I do 99% of what I do is love. And it's people wanting to hear from a loved one who died. And there's all kinds of good memories and there's all kinds of love flowing through it. And it feels good to me. And watching, say, a child murdered or a person murdered is like, I have to spend a couple of days just to bring myself up to feeling normal sometimes. It's a serious thing. So I'm not going to walk around with every time I open my email or my message, there's dozens of requests to look at. There's so many missing children in America that don't go high profile. Nobody knows about them, but they're all in my inbox, and I can't. I can't. I got sick with COVID when I was working on the Idaho case, and I got sick with the flu when I was working on the Jamie Kloss case. So I think it also hits the immune system. It's a serious thing to go to where someone was murdered and watch everything. You feel the energy, like you, if you listen to the readings on the Idaho, like I could feel, I would receive the thoughts of Lori, and I'd receive the thoughts of Alex, and I'd receive the terror of Tylee, and that's all in my energy. So no, I might do one or two more about Summer, at least one more, to try to see if we can narrow down. I saw where her body was put down kind of like this hill, where, like I said, you can't walk straight down it, you go sideways. And, of course, that could be all over Tennessee, but I might do one more to see if we can get more clues about that. And then that's it. Because there's a lot. There's children everywhere going missing, and they don't make the newspapers. They might be like one article and you don't hear about them again. There's two. Did you hear about the two little boys who went missing near Summer? Within 10 miles of the house. Yeah, just two little teeny boys.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but they're not high profile. It happens all the time.
Wow, I had no clue, Donna. I'll have to look that one up next. Oh, wow. Okay, so here's...
My boxes are just full of these.
Right. Well, you help people. That's the thing, Donna. And when people try to give me... Sometimes people try to give me a hard time and say, oh, well, this goes against this and this and this. I say, she's helping people. You are taking what are normally very mysterious, hard to understand dynamics, right? And turning them into something that makes sense. Because I'll tell you what, ever since you did this reading on Summer, everything kind of makes sense to me now. Exactly from what you said, it falls into place. It's the first time it has, because before, I know personally, me personally, nothing seemed to click. It was just like the details didn't line up and the timeline, there was still 3-hour gap, but now it all comes together that they must have met up. They must have met up somewhere, probably around Jonesboro, like you said, right?
Yeah. Or at least Dawn did. I don't know where Candace met him at, but I'm sure the police will be finding that out when they arrest somebody. You know, the way that these cell phones are nowadays, and newer cars. Look at Barry Morphew. His truck keeps track everywhere he goes, and then he tried to dismantle it. More evidence of guilt. You know. So that looks like kind of a newer car, Subaru, that Candace and Dawn have. Of course, it was over there that day. So we'll see. But they all have cell phones on them. You know, Grandma, Candace, Dawn. They'll know where this happened at.
Yeah.
And
here's a. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say there's surveillance cameras all over the place nowadays too. So
there is. Yeah. Eyes in the sky everywhere. So yeah, it's going to catch them eventually. Yeah. Okay. It says, Sweetie Pie, could you ask her why Candace made that phone call saying that Dawn was arrested? What was it, about a week ago almost? And everybody thought Dawn was arrested and it was a total hoax.
Yeah.
Why did they do that? Like,
to get even with people on YouTube, saying, you know, making a big drama fest about them.
The essay.
To get even with all the people who, I mean, because that's just the level they're at. That's the level their mentality is at. Yeah. And so she did a good acting job. So there's more proof of her ability to lie and act and stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Her bawling her head off. That Dawn was arrested, and maybe even to get even with the sister, because if they knew the sister was talking to Chris. I don't know, because I wasn't paying that. I watched the interviews, but I wasn't paying attention to every detail as far as after that. So I don't know if that sister was talking to a lot of people, but just to stir up drama and feel power. So they want power back. They want to feel some power. They they feel powerless right now because everybody sees them for who they are, as people who would allow others to rape their child and probably in this case murder their child.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's like unconscionable what likely happened. I think you're 100%, honestly, Donna. I do.
Well, it's horrible. I'm like, because even after that reading, I was like, just when I thought I'd seen the worst, you know, with Tylee and all that. But here it is. Now I'm seeing somebody just essentially groomed, raped, or molested since birth, with her own mother selling her, pimping her out, and then them selling her for the purpose of trafficking, and then I'm seeing her murdered.
Gosh. Yeah.
If that's true. Now remember, top psychics in the world could be only right 80% of the time. Maybe she's happy somewhere. You know, that's why I said on Tylee's case, maybe she's
somewhere with Grandma. Yeah, I remember when you said that. I hope so too.
It's the only type of thing where you really, really hope to fail.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Okay, so here is a comment from Enchanted Life Path. Can we ask Donna, excuse me, if the Canon camera that the police kept is significant? Also, the John Benet Ramsey connection is the Lone Star Road 2 as well as Wonderworks. And see my live stream, so we'll have to check that out after.
Yeah, I watched his live stream and I was amazed how he was putting things together, and he's really good at finding little things that you wouldn't find.
That's so cool.
Because in the reading, I'm like, why am I seeing John Benet? And then somewhere I'm saying everything's upside down. And what this guy here, Enchanted Life Path, on his live stream yesterday, so he showed this place called Wonderworks. It's 10 miles from Gatlinburg, and the whole little thing is upside down, all these upside down buildings. And they have I don't know why they would do this, but they have a display of John Bonet, one of her final dresses she wore, and they have a whole display about murders. Like they have the one display is O.J. Simpson's, Nicole Simpson's condo door they bought at an auction. Like, so they have this display, they have a John Bonet display there. And so this young man, Enchanted Life Path, he's really good at seeing minute details, and he found this.
Yeah. This blows me away right now, seeing this John Bonet dress. Yeah. Wait, that's from her pageants, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
A whole place where they have all these different murders and stuff they bought at auctions from murders. And I'm like, why would you do that if families go there? You know?
Yes. But that's amazing because you were seeing all this random stuff and how it all ties to Gatlinburg.
I know.
That is the key. Yes, the weekend before.
Yeah, I was thinking it was so weird about that gum chain. Like I was thinking, oh man, what's the relevance of this? But you just got to say it. You don't know it because in Gatlinburg, Ripley's Museum, there it is. So yeah. Here's everything's upside down here at Wonderworks.
I know. Yeah, let me look at one of these buildings. This is so weird. How in the world? Check this out. How did they do that?
How bizarre, huh?
It is bizarre. Yeah, because at the end, I think it's at the end of the part 2 reading that you did. I think that's when you say, what's upside down is down and what's upside up. How did you say that? I don't know. I can't pull it.
I don't know either, but it's just like what's upside down is up and what's
whatever it was.
I don't know.
But there it is again, hitting the nail on the head. All these are clues.
They're all clues. Definitely
leads to Gatlinburg. Gatlinburg is probably where something happened.
She was shown. So some people are confused and think I'm saying that's where she was turned over. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's where she was shown.
Yeah, pictures, right? Pictures, right? Is that right?
Well, they are just taking her to the fair, family going to the fair, and this guy, the Darren-looking guy, he's walking around taking photos for the catalog to sell her in the human trafficking thing, and to see if he wants to buy her. But he's probably not hanging around with them. It's probably like more casual than that. There might be a time where they talk and he buys her an ice cream cone or something. So obviously that might be on surveillance. I don't know. But so that's where the person's seeing if they want her, not where she's turned over.
Right. Right. Interestingly enough, though, I don't know if they got home from that trip to Gatlinburg on Monday or if it was Sunday, but I know it was on Tuesday when obviously she vanished. It was Tuesday, June 15th that she vanished. So I guess what I'm wondering is, did they must have done these pictures and made the agreement and then got home and then decided to put her in her outfit. Remember, this was going to be her outfit for the first day of kindergarten, dressing her in her best. And Standard Dozier, didn't you kind of decide more than anything it probably meant to make her drowsy? Is that what you kind of decided on?
Because I really know what I'm shown, and they spelled it out for me because I was like, Dozier, what's that? And they spelled it out, Dozier. And then we were looking up everything this could mean. There's a kidnapping of a James Dozier. There's the Dozier School in Florida where they buried all these kids they tortured to death, and they didn't realize it for 10 years after until someone was excavating there. And the urban slang, it says Doziers to take too much drugs that make you drowsy. So, but it was because it came high profile, like they would have kept her in the trafficking thing. But because it came high profile, it's too risky. So it said we had to do a standard Dozier.
Right.
And we'll find out what that means. But none of it is good.
Right. I know. All right. Let's see if there's just maybe one or two more questions, and then we can
ask this.
How much time? Yes.
The camera. He wants to know if it's. I do believe that Dawn was taking photos of Summer and sharing them in the online predator group.
Wow.
I got really strong chills on both of my legs right now. So
Okay.
I think, like Chris said, that the police have all this. They have so much to go through. I bet. Dawn Wells is a prolific child abuser. Prolific. Look at all the women who have come forward, and you can bet there's at least that many who haven't come forward.
Right.
He's been molesting and lying or raping his entire life, raping children his entire life and getting away with it. So he got his little fantasy girl, and that's one reason why it doesn't make sense until you put Candace into the picture. Why would he get rid of, this is his fantasy age. If you look at all the women who were raped by him, it was all starting around age 5. So he wouldn't get rid of, he has his own fantasy he's essentially the owner of, except for Candace isn't having that. So it takes all of them. Grandma has full knowledge too. She's fled the state. She's
sure did.
guilty.
I agree. I think you're right. All right, so we'll take a couple more questions. Let's see here. Okay, here's one. Was Summer's head shaved as part of some kind of trafficking ritual? The reason I ask is my neighbor's daughter came up missing in 1995. She also had her head shaved shortly before coming up missing. Wow.
That's weird, huh?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I never heard of that. I'm not an expert on human trafficking. In fact, I probably would have never been able to think this up in my head. What I saw many parents would take their child and knowingly turn them over to be harmed this way. So I wouldn't know anything about that as a ritual, or, the filth of their house. It's just as believable that, they all shaved their heads, right? The mom, all the boys, and Summer. They had lice, and instead of pulling everything out of the house and cleaning it all. But I don't know. I would think a little girl would be worth more money with that, little towhead, blonde hair, blue-eyed look.
Yes.
But I'm not an expert on trafficking at all.
Right.
I had to watch something. I'm just like, I can't even believe. I was walking around for a few days. Like, I can't believe anybody would even do this to their daughter.
I know. I feel the same way. It's unimaginable that people would do that.
Yeah.
It really is. Okay, so we'll take, here's one about Suzanne Morphew. Do you want to shift gears for a moment and go into Suzanne?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Will Suzanne Morphew be found?
She might not be in one piece.
Okay.
The weird thing is, I saw the murder so clear, Technicolor clear. To the point where, like, at one point, because I did it so many, at one point I stepped into kind of her on purpose just to look at his face, all red and scrunched up, and he's blaming her the whole time he's murdering her. And then once he tied her up and put her knees tied around and put her in some kind of duffel bag or suitcase or something. After that, the only thing I've seen was an old Jeep type vehicle. And Barry is pretty slick. He's a hunter, and he's a pretty slick guy. So I don't know if he had help. I don't know if he used another vehicle or if he did that. I didn't see specifically what happened to Suzanne's body after that point. It's really interesting. I don't know if they're trying to protect me, because I was very traumatized for a very long time after the Idaho case. Very traumatized my own self. But the weird thing is, I keep seeing the same places. I keep seeing these kind of vertical rock slabs, and I feel her done. So it's like, I'm wondering, why do I keep seeing all these same different places? Like, I don't know if he put her in pieces. I don't know if he dropped her down a mine shaft. I really don't know. other than they keep showing me the same areas. And if it wasn't the COVID thing, I already had a couple people offer to pay for me to go, to Salida.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But I don't want to risk getting COVID twice because my lungs still hurt from the first time.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it would be nice if I could be in that area and kind of drive around and see what I feel. Some confirmation even came though at the prelim, because he left his driveway and took a left, right, and went to that. And I even kept telling the Salida resident, she can speak up whenever she wants to some other time, but I kept telling her, I feel like he takes a left out of his driveway and a right. And then Cassidy Cordova, who was an employee who I'd done readings with during that search time, he even wrote on his Facebook, okay, take a left and take a right. And it's like, yeah, that turned out to be correct. But yeah. Barry, like one of his friends said, he's such an expert on what he's doing, with dead bodies. He's been dealing with dead bodies, but they've been of animals his entire life. He said, his friend said, if he murdered her, she'll never be found. That's what his friend said. I don't know either way though.
Mm-hmm. Right. In the first reading you did on Suzanne, I think it was the meditation reading, I remember the part where you say something to the effect of, it's like he backs a truck up, but then you go, wait, it's not, I don't even know that this is a truck. I didn't see a truck, but you said it's like he put her in the water. Did you ever see water again after the first the meditation reading? Ever again?
I did so many that I don't remember. Like I'd have to listen to them, but I do remember a feeling of going down at an angle, being dumped at an angle, going down. Mm-hmm. So, and I put the diagram on my community page. So I have Psychic Reverend Donna Seraphina is the name of my channel. In my community page, on one of those readings, the spirit showed this diagram. I said, there's a diagram that the police picked up when they searched his truck on one of those little metal things that contractors carry. And
like a clipboard?
What?
Is it like a clipboard? Are you saying or no?
Yeah. Okay. The police found it in his truck. I know they did, but they probably don't think it's important. But on another reading, they actually drew the diagram for me 3 times before I realized, they want me to draw the diagram. Because like the first, so they drew, I like, Barry's frustrated because he drew this thing and it didn't work. So he ripped it up and threw it away. And then they draw it again. And then I'm like watching them, how they do it. And then they ripped that off and they started again. I'm like, they want me to draw this. So I drew it. It's in my community section. Like, if the police want to find her, I'm sure they can. But I don't know that she could be all in one piece, but she also could be not in one piece. And, she could be down a mine shaft somewhere. I think there's a bunch of mines all over that whole area, and he knows it very well. So I don't know the answer.
Yeah. Right. Let's see if I can find. Oh, you know what? Before I read another one, I want to ask you real quick. Do you feel like you tapped into Barry's very bizarre behavior, Donna? Like, did you happen to notice how his movements and stuff are in your reading? Because I remember you said he's looking at this manual, going back to the manual you just talked about. And the way he was walking around, to me, when I heard the preliminary hearing, it sounded so much like it corresponded with the bizarre behavior I feel like you were explaining in your readings.
Yeah. I was really tapped in with the fact that he wasn't going to murder Suzanne if she agreed to stay with him and do the things that he wanted his way. Yeah. And that dinner that they had on Friday night, right? That was her last chance, and she didn't know that. But in Barry's mind, that was her last chance to acquiesce to what he wanted. And 100% certainty, and I got chills all over again, 100% certainty, this is a premeditated murder with Barry. This isn't, I see people go, he just must have found her talking to her friend. It's not about her friend. She inherited $500,000 from her mom. She borrowed another $100,000 from her dad. $600,000 of that is her money that's not community property. Then they split the rest. So she's going to walk away with probably $1 million. He's probably going to get $300,000 or something. He wasn't going to allow that, period. She's his property, and he's not allowing her to take her money and leave. And that's why he murdered her. And the reason I know that is they actually showed me him laying out pillows on the bed to estimate her size and then putting them in the suitcase. It could be a large duffel, could be a suitcase, could be a trunk, but he put them in there to make sure she would fit. So he did all that ahead of time. You know, he'd been planning, and his employee, Cassidy Cordova, told me that at one point they were driving along before the murders even happened, where he actually just out of the blue started saying he'd found the perfect spot if he ever had to murder somebody where they would never be found. So
I remember that. I remember you telling me about that. And another thing he did that was really bizarre, I remember you telling me that I think Cassidy told you, was when he would get pissed off, he would go around his house and just start shooting animals, right, Donna?
yeah, so that's how Barry dealt with his rage. Besides being an expert hunter, Cassidy said if he was in a really bad mood, he would just pull over and start shooting animals. And I said, well, what would he do with them? And he said, just leave them there. You know, so this goes beyond hunting. He kills things to relieve his anger and give him his power. And so Cassidy told me that after the news thing came out, this news story about the bleach in the hotel room, he said after that is when Barry started acting very erratic. And Barry actually acted menacing towards him. And came at him, you know, with his red, cringy. When he gets mad, his whole face turns red and squeezes at. And he asked if he thought he murdered his wife. And Cassidy says, oh, no. Cassidy did. Cassidy stayed with Barry because he thought that Barry would slip up and he could help. Cassidy really liked Suzanne a lot. And within about 2 weeks, he believed that Barry did it. He voluntarily, you know, went 3 times to TBI to be debriefed to see if there was anything that he could offer. And he thought if he stayed around Barry that he could find answers about Suzanne. So I want to clear that up too, because some people were really attacking him and it just wasn't right.
No, he was trying to help. He really was.
Yeah, and then Barry started stalking. Oh, the point was though, so at that time they were at a job site, and then he said Barry just threw down his tool and said he's going to go kill something, and he left. So that's what he does when he's stressed, when he's angry and enraged. However, he gets his power back by murdering little animals.
Wow, sick. And
so
then of course,
I mean, he even had a deer park, right?
Yeah.
A deer farm where he's raising deer for people to kill.
Correct.
There's one thing when people are hunting and it's for food, but Barry liked to go kill things because he liked to kill things. So killing he saw Suzanne as his property. And he wasn't going to let her take the money. That's what this is really about. This isn't about, you know, she needed some self-esteem, which she found in Jeff. But that's self-esteem trying to leave when you've been, abused by a narcissist for 25, 30 years and you have no self-esteem and she needs out, you know? Yeah. So he wasn't going to let her take the money.
In your reading, I think in every single reading you did, didn't you see the chase that happened through the house, like from the kitchen? Was it up the stairs into the bedroom?
He wanted her to sign a paper, and so Lauren sent me all these photos afterwards. After I put up the reading, she's like, "Is this what you saw?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, yes!" So the breakfast bar, he puts a paper there. He wants her to sign it. And this is demanding, and she's like trying to not let this stuff elevate, but she's just saying, no, I'm not gonna. And then a chase happened. I saw him chase past the couch and then went into a bedroom, and then he was strangling her in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
And the very bathroom I saw him strangling her Lauren sent me the real estate pictures, and it was exactly like how I described.
Exact. It was
Yeah.
exact. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
Do
you know,
you-
the sad thing about Summer Wells is all the confirmations about these things that aren't the murder lens towards it probably being true about Summer.
Yeah, I think so
that's
too.
happening.
I think so too. Donna, do you think there's any relevance to this tranquilizer gun at all? Because you never did mention it, so I don't know if you ever saw something weird like that.
I don't remember seeing anything like that either.
Yeah.
But remember at that very first one with Andy, I'm like, what did he do? Did he push her off a cliff? Did he shoot her?
Yeah. Yep.
And remember, and then in the morning he texted her to go hiking. So if she had gone
Exactly.
hiking, he would push her off the cliff. And
Yep.
I'm sure they didn't show me. I didn't ever see him chase. I didn't ever see this tranquilizer gun. But
Yeah.
if I had, I would have probably thought she was shot. So maybe that's why they didn't show it to me. Do you see what I'm
Right.
saying?
I
Whether
do.
it was there or not, just because I didn't see it doesn't mean it wasn't there. But I could see, like, if I saw him pointing a gun, chasing her around, I would have just assumed she was shot.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So maybe that's why they didn't show it, because I saw him strangling her, and I saw he knew exactly where to push to break that bone. He knew exactly.
The hyoid.
Oh, and when I told Cassidy Cordova about that, Cassidy told me that Barry's favorite bragging story is how he strangled a mountain lion with his bare hands.
Wow.
Yeah, that's his favorite story.
I'm sure it is. It was interesting because during this preliminary hearing, every single story Barry had was related to hunting. Every excuse. Remember that?
And
I was shooting chipmunks.
Oh,
It was just all these stories.
Well, and the other thing I told, because this is when Profiling Evil just came on, and so I was sending them my readings and stuff, and I told them that they need to be careful because I can see Barry shooting Andy if he gets a chance.
Yeah.
And then literally like 15 minutes before I was going to do a reading with Cassidy Cordova, someone texted me and said, Barry just, flashed or carried around his shotgun on his property while Andy wanted to come search it. And it was like, no surprise.
I know.
No surprise.
Yep.
No surprise. And Barry would pull the trigger. That's the difference between him and a lot of people.
It sure is. I agree.
So
All
it's
right,
been
so
2 hours. Maybe we
Yeah,
should,
let's just take a couple questions and then let's go ahead and finish this up. And again, thank you so much, everybody, for coming. We really appreciate it. So nice to have all of you here. Okay, one question. Here we go. Okay. Do you think Barry will be convicted of Suzanne's murder?
I have never seen a judge not hold over something when the DA has gone so far as to put on a preliminary hearing. This is the first time I've ever seen a judge not hold it over and say he has to review his notes. So right now, fingers crossed. At the same time, if the judge feels that they don't have enough for a conviction, it's better that they wait until they do. But clearly, what more could you get? If they didn't get any evidence from the house, then, or much, that would it help to find her bones? I don't know. I can't answer that because you know what? It has factors that don't have anything to do with me. Those are like rivers of energy. Is the DA and those people and the police put everything they need into it? And are they going to have a fair trial? Are they even going to have a trial? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that. So like, just because I'm psychic doesn't mean I know everything. When I do psychic work, I do chanting and prayer and meditation. I work myself into an altered state where I'm receiving. So like, I don't just walk around knowing everything.
That's right. And that's good to remember.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, Donna, I'm trying to think of or see any other last questions. Let's see.
Do you know where Twin Creek is? Oh, there's an answer to Judy, the electronic medium. I like her a lot. She's
So
what
do
I
I.
like about Judy is that she has really good etiquette. She's a nice
She does.
person, and that matters
She is.
to me more than anything, especially working in the spiritual realm. She just asked the Twin Creek
Twin Creek.
Twin Creek Path is about a mile outside of Gatlinburg, and they have this place you can look up. It's called the Fairy House. It's a 1.5 mile long trail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Twin Creek.
Is this what you're talking about here, Donna?
That's the Fairy House. The person who owned it did that. And the spring goes through there, so I guess they could go in there and like clean themselves off and stuff. But it's a trail. So remember, I kept saying, there's a twin. Like I didn't know what the twin was. So everything is at Gatlinburg or right around Gatlinburg as to the showing of Summer for sale to the prospective buyer. And then where they brought her feels more towards Jonesboro.
Okay. Well, I feel like you answered so many questions, clarified so much for us, because prior to you shedding light on this, I think people were still thinking that maybe somebody took her from the property. But I think ever since your reading came out and just hit YouTube hard, everybody knows she was sold now. I think most people believe that. You clarified that for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hope,
really
can I tell you the name of my, I have a YouTube channel and it's called Psychic Reverend Donna Seraphina. And I am an actual spiritualist reverend, and that's a 4-year program of training, but plus I love it. So
and you're so good at it.
I would be a nun on a thing and just do this all the time. I love doing spiritualist work. So that's so my channel has the other readings if people haven't heard the ones on the Idaho case.
Right. I urge everybody, please go check out Donna's channel. And I will make sure, or one of these mods I know posted the link of Donna's channel. If somebody could do that again, I'd really appreciate it. That way people know where to go. But please do check out Donna's channel. She's got a lot of different readings. All of them are super interesting. And we just thank her so much for how she so selflessly gives of herself and just puts this information out there. Even knowing all the trolls, the trolls can be so awful. They can be so downright rude.
Fortunately, these glasses don't work and everything's blurry. So I only saw the one when I was like, they're like, what? So if I'm not responding to people, that's why. I'm sorry. My other glasses broke, but I'm glad to be here. I really appreciate you putting me on your show. I really appreciate all the nice things that you've said about me. And
it's all true.
For me. I really appreciate it. I really do.
Thank you so much, Donna. And I'm really grateful for you. And I think everybody on here is. So thank you again. Thanks everybody in the chat for being here. And I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. And I'll keep in touch with you. I'll do some community posts, make sure I thank everybody for the kind donations. Please, again, if instead of me, please donate to Donna. I'd really appreciate that more than anything. So
thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
Really nice. I'm sorry if I couldn't really read the comments.
Oh, I know. Honestly, I'm so sorry about the comments, guys. I felt a little bit overwhelmed because this is my first time navigating through StreamYard. It doesn't come natural to me, but I think soon it will. So if I didn't get back to you, that's why.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me on, Lauren.
Thank you so much, Donna. Look forward to hearing back from you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.